Okay, I left off talking about the vents. I'll just call this part two. And I left off talking about the hours that I spent doing all the body work on the car. So you're looking at a whole summer and more. Prior to that, I would say months and months. 500-600 hours of just body work and getting it to the stage that it's at. And again, this is all pre-assembly. So the idea is, and this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do a little bit of interior work on the car, whatever has to be done that I can't do with the body on the car. So I'm going to get that done. I think that might include some of the roll cage, cleaning that up, making sure that I have the material on that. But I'm going to leave as much off this car as I can and still allow myself to mount the body on here in a, right now it's got epoxy primer on it. I'll sand this down to probably 99% pre-paint. So it'll be sanded down to about 800. And then I'll start doing all that inner fender work, finish up the interior, make sure all that stuff is good to go, and close a lot of this stuff off that I've, there's a lot done here, don't get me wrong. There's, the doors have been fitted, the interior has been initially fit, so I know it fits, and I don't have any major issues with the interior. I've opened the doors, all the windows and all that roll up and down, the engine's all good, all the AC and all that different stuff works, all the systems in the car work. Then I had completely disassembled it and started doing the body work, and now I've got the body work to, about an 85% solution. And now the trick is, okay, how do I keep from scratching the paint on the body? And I'm just more comfortable painting the body on the car. I'll leave the doors and the front end off. I'll paint those off the car. But I really want to paint the body on the car when I'm ready to do it, and not with so much assembly, after the actual paint's on the body. And then that'll, because there's really not a whole lot to mask off. I've got, the doors are going to be off. The engine compartment's easily masked off. That's not a big deal. And the whole, the front can be covered up. You can cover everything up, and you'll be able to shoot your door jambs, in all the areas that are really places that people look to see if you had a good paint job. You can hit those and mask off the rest. So it's not a real big deal with the body. Now it'd be different with the doors and of course the front end. But those are easily removed and painted separately. So not a big deal there. So all the paneling, as I'm looking in here, those are all the access panels I've got, so that's all for maintenance. I've got AC stuff up there. I've got a PC that I'm going to put in here, and then I've got access to all the main wiring harnesses and stuff that go between the front and the back of the car. So that's pretty much it on the body work. And most of the other stuff, I'll show you some of the stuff back here. This is kind of interesting. So these are the vents I got from V-Raptor Speedworks. You can see the, all this different stuff. These are somewhat rough when you get them. There's still some chunks of fiberglass and things like that you need to deal with. And then all the various radiuses and things like that are required to be sanded, in and all these corners. So it's real hard to get in here. Again, this is days and days and weeks of work trying to get in here and sand. Sometimes the outside is easy, and then you'll find out, you get your finger pinched in there, and it's really hard to roll sandpaper through there. And again, hours and hours. As you can see, the sheen and the radiuses. What that tells you is, when this stuff is actually painted, you'll be able to see all this stuff. So there's no way to really hide mistakes, through all these really hard to get places. So you want to take your time, you can see all these lines, that are shiny. Well, the sun's going to do the same thing. So you want to make sure you get all that stuff sanded right. And then I have a transition for the diffuser. This is all cut out a little different. So I brought the diffuser up to the height that I wanted it so that it looked integral to the car instead of hanging down really low. You know, you have that big diffuser, and the way that Factory 5 has you mount it, it sits down pretty low, and it really doesn't look integral. It, you know, I mean, it looks okay. It's not bad. I just want to make it a little different and a little more finished look to it. So I pulled it up, and when I pulled it up, what I wanted to do is I wanted to match the side of the diffuser and really kind of mold around it so I had a nice snug fit, you know, so that whole thing comes up and basically fits like a glove. So that's what all this is done. This is all reworked. This whole lip was added. You know, here's the cut that I made in there, and then I had to, you know, do all the body work and blend all that in, and I've reinforced up inside here. There's actually a big aluminum angle that I put in here so that that diffuser, as it gets a load on it, it's got something for those bolts and spacers to tie into, you know, through the whole length all the way there. The other thing I did is up underneath, actually up inside there, you can see there's an L angle bonded to the bottom of the back end here. And what that does is, you know, because you have a latch basically down right here, you'll have a latch, and you're going to be wanting to lean on this, and without that reinforcement, this area is really flexible. And with heat, I'm anticipating that without that thing, this area is going to get out of shape after a while when it's heat soaked numerous times. That was an issue they had on the Corvettes with fiberglass bodies, is when they weren't properly reinforced, people had an issue with flexing and things like that. So if you got the chance and a little extra time, you know, if you know areas on your body that are going to be maybe not as strong as you think they should be, try to look ahead and add reinforcements and things to beef some of that stuff up, and it'll help a lot and make your car last longer without looking like crap. So that's pretty much most of the stuff. Again, pre-assembly, you know, get it to the point where you're comfortable, and you know, really think ahead in terms of when you want to put that paint on the body, and do everything you can prior to that, and fit and trial fit, you know, over and over again. You're going to be beating your head against the wall fitting these things, you know, and don't be surprised if you have your doors off, you know, 10, 15 times or more to get everything right. You just got to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, and pull things together a little at a time, you know. So you'll work one area, and then you'll find out, hey, I got to work that area, another area, and pretty soon you're chasing different issues, and you end up way far away from one issue after you've worked 3 or 4 issues in between. So you'll be bouncing around the car as a result. You know, an example might be you're working on, you know, the alignment of the back, and then that pushes this out, which, you know, changes your door location, and then you find out you got to do some work up there, but you don't know where, you know, you're going to mount an electrical box, and, you know, so you figure out how to mount your electrical box, then you come back to your door at some point, and you're like, okay, yeah, I remember that. And you got to rework your door, and then pretty soon you go back and you verify your, you know, your back end fits where you needed it to. So, you know, you can really lead yourself in circles, and so what you want to do is you want to run around those circles and document, you know, what you did and what you didn't do, and then, you know, slowly pull all those things together so you don't have so many circles to run, and then pretty soon, as you find out you don't have so many issues, things will start coming together more. So there's kind of an order, you know, somewhat, as you just attack it and you start taking care of things, and you try to think ahead and capture the issues, and then run around again, and you take care of more issues, and then you run around again and you take care of more, and pretty soon over time you'll find out, hey, I've got less and less to deal with. And you know, when you're talking about a project that can last you know, 3 to 10 years, you know, depending on who you are and what you got going on, then you know, you're going to forget what you did, and so another thing is document. You know, document, take pictures, write it down. You know, tape parts up, keep your hardware together, and you know, keep track of what you're doing, and it'll help a lot. So you cannot just get in a garage and slap one of these things together. It will not work, and you'll waste your money trying to do it that way. So same thing, if you're in a big hurry, don't build this car. You know, that's the bottom line. So lots of research, lots of time, lots of running in circles, and but pretty soon you'll have it like this, and you'll be over the peaks, and you know, off to the paint job, and looking forward to putting it together. So that's about where I'm at now, and that's it. I think I'm done talking. And oh, one thing I wanted to mention, almost forgot, is my temporary paint booth. So one thing I did is, and it worked really well, is I put up these cables. You can see, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see these cables that run across the garage, and they're hooked into different corners of the garage. You know, this one I've got up in the corner over there. You can see I've got a little eye bolt coming out of the wall, and then I've got another cable that crosses over to there. You can see I've got a curtain hanging there that I made out of Bisqueen duct tape, and I think I paid like $1.99 for 20 of those little shower curtain rings that you can quick disconnect. And that slides real nice along this cable. So, and then I've got, you know, it goes to there, and then it goes all the way to the garage door. And then I've got one starting over in that corner, and it comes all the way along there. And, you know, across here you can see the, you know, what I did is I actually reinforced it at each point that the ring was going to connect, and then I just stuck the rings on the curtain. And then what I do is I erect this thing in about 5 minutes, and I can convert this whole bay into a paint booth. So I put a drop cloth on the floor, I hook up all the curtains, drag the curtains where they need to be, close off the area, and then I run these, I've got a couple of tubes here that I use, and they're connected to this big gray box here. So I've got an inlet there, and I've got another inlet here capped off. And then the back side of this box actually goes out of the garage door. So it takes all the fiberglass or paint or whatever, it evacuates it from that area. And that's how I keep this garage so clean. Same thing with all the bodywork, all the Bondo and all that stuff that I sand. I'm sucking it all through this tube. And you can see I've got, you know, basically 50 feet of tube here. And you can see it's been used a lot. So that's, you know, after months and months. And you can see my little handle there broke, and, you know, I get a little bit of different types of duct tape and all that. And the wires are hanging out, so this thing's been banged around a million times. But man, I'll tell you what, that makes the biggest difference in the world. If you want to talk about easy, you know, without dust and shit all over the place, that's the way to do it. Get yourself a ventilation system. And you know, I made this box out of plywood, and I mounted a home furnace blower in it that basically points out the back. I've got a 18-inch duct on the back, and it's a lot of airflow. And then I've got some filters built into this to filter the airflow before it actually leaves. There's plenty of suction, and you can barely hear it. So I can run that thing, and it's nice and quiet, and I can sand, and I don't have any dust at all. Another thing, the lighting. I mentioned the lighting. These are LEDs, and I've got 4 of those. Actually, they look like this guy right here. Util Tech. I forgot what the light output is, but it's bright. So anyway, get yourself some lighting so you can see all those various you know, spots as you're doing. You can see what the lighting does for all the radiuses and all those surfaces that you have to deal with on the car. And there you go. So that's part 2. Since my battery ran out, otherwise I would have had one single video. We'll talk to you later. Good luck, and keep your patience. Bye.